Everywhere you look, screens, phones, tablets, laptops, TVs. Kids today spend more time looking at screens than playing outside. But what actually happens when a child grows up glued to a screen? Does it make them smarter or more distracted, connected, or lonely? Let's find out. This is what happens when kids spend too much time on screens. It starts early, sometimes before the age of 2. Bright colors, catchy sounds, instant stimulation, a digital pacifier. The brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical, every time a video changes or a game rewards a win. That's the same chemical triggered by sugar or gambling. Every swipe, click, and tap builds a loop of instant gratification. Experts call it dopamine hijacking, and once it starts, it's hard to stop. After a few hours a day, attention begins to change. Short videos, fast edits, train the brain to expect constant stimulation. Reading? Too slow. Homework? Boring. According to a study from the National Institutes of Health, NIH, kids who spend more than 7 hours a day on screens show thinner cortex development, the part of the brain responsible for critical thinking and focus. It's not that they can't pay attention, it's that their brains are being rewired to crave distraction. Now comes the emotional cost. Likes, comments, shares become validation. If the screen smiles, they feel loved. If it doesn't, they feel invisible. Studies from the University of Michigan show that higher social media use is linked to lower self-esteem and increased anxiety in teenagers. Even sleep begins to suffer. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin, making it harder for kids to fall asleep and even harder to focus the next day. Ironically, the more connected kids are online, the more disconnected they can become offline. Conversations feel awkward. Eye contact feels strange. Playgrounds are replaced with pixels. Child psychologists call this digital isolation. Kids talk to screens more than people, and that changes how they learn empathy. Research from UCLA found that children who spent just 5 days without screens improved their ability to read facial expressions and emotions. Screens don't just affect the mind, they affect the body. Too much sitting equals weaker muscles, slower metabolism, higher risk of obesity. Staring too long equals digital eye strain, blurred vision, even posture damage. The CDC reports that children aged 8 to 18 spend an average of 7.5 hours per day in front of screens. That's nearly 110 full days a year. Now imagine that over a decade. That's over 3 years of childhood gone to screens. But it's not all bad news. When screen time is balanced, amazing things happen. Just 1 week of reduced screen time improves focus, mood, and sleep quality. Outdoor play and creative hobbies boost dopamine naturally, without overstimulation. One study from the American Academy of Pediatrics found that kids who had less than 2 hours of recreational screen time daily scored higher in memory and language tests. It's not about removing screens, it's about reclaiming balance. Myth number 1, screens make kids smarter. Not exactly. They can help, but overuse lowers focus and creativity. Myth number 2, educational videos don't count. They still trigger dopamine and can overstimulate developing brains. Fact, real learning happens when kids explore, create, and connect, not just watch. Here's the neuroscience behind it. Every second on a screen floods the brain with dopamine. When that becomes constant, natural motivation drops. The brain gets used to instant rewards, making patience, learning, and empathy harder to sustain. But when kids disconnect, dopamine levels normalize, focus returns, creativity blooms again. So what really happens if kids spend too much time on screens? Their brains adapt, their emotions change, their focus fades. But with balance, they grow stronger, sharper, more alive. Screens aren't the enemy, addiction is. Would you dare try a 7-day screen detox in your home? Comment below. Team Balance if you're in. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for another eye-opening experiment right here on What Happens If You.